Okay, we are back this week with another Fallout Friday painting tutorial. Sorry for missing last week. I had a bunch of stuff came up that I had to do instead. But that's the way it goes. So here we have a Strong from one of the Boston Companions expansions. Pretty basic sculpt. Nice big old super sledge, overhand throw. Armor plates, etc. The base is pretty much open dirt with this missile that apparently, I'm going to guess, was shot at him and missed / did not explode. So that's an interesting feature on that at least. So for Strong, I'm going to do the standard kind of Super Mutant green flesh. Which for me is going to be a combination of contrast green, Militarum green, and Plaguebearer flesh. So we're going to go for a 1-to-1 of our darker green, and actually I think we're going to do one dark to 2 light, because I prefer slightly lighter. I have done a lot of my Super Mutants in just Plaguebearer flesh, so much more the Fallout 4 coloration. But for Strong, I want to darken him a little bit, make him stand out in the crowd, and just kind of water it down a bit. Okay, so let's just mix this up, and we're going to test on his foot. Nice hidden bit of the model, just to make sure I like how this looks. So let us see here. So it's got weird wraps on the back half of his foot. Okay, yeah, so definitely 2-to-1 was the way to go, because that darker green is really overpowering the Plaguebearer, but I think it looks good. I just kind of want to get under the foot there. We're not too concerned about getting it splashed on the ground. That will be covered up when we do the base. Okay, yes. I think that's a very good looking flesh, so let's go ahead and continue with the rest of the model. Alright, so that flesh came out really nice. The Super Mutants especially take contrast very well because of all the rippling mutant muscle. They show off, the contrast paints really show off all of the nooks and crannies nicely. Good shading comes on that. Next we're going to go ahead and do the leather pieces. So this will be like any of the ropes, the under pieces of the armor or anything like that. So we're going to use our Snakebite leather. Mine's fairly thick these days, so I'm going to go ahead and mix it 2-to-1 with some medium. So that it'll flow a bit better. Just going to mix this up and go to town. Okay, so that's all of the leather and cord done. The next part is we're going to let it dry, and we're going to go ahead and paint all of the metal pieces with a gray in order that the contrast gray will look a little darker. Real quick before that though, I'm going to apply Nazdreg yellow before I forget on a couple pieces of the super sledge. So we're just going to go in here and hit the fuel canister bit that sticks out the back. And this entire bottom grip section, which it actually is the fuel canister. I think like the top one might be for the pilot light or something like that. You know, assuming it's real. so as I said, we're going to let that dry, and then we'll be back to apply the gray base and then the Basilicanum gray to pick out all of the metal. Okay, so we are ready to proceed, and we're just going to go ahead and do a quick check for any missed spots on the model. Nope. Looking good. Alright, so in order to make the metal look a bit better, we're going to go ahead and take a gray Seer base coat, and we're just going to apply that over all of the metal plates and everything else that we haven't painted yet here, just to get that look to it. I'm also going to apply it to the missile on the base here prior to painting. Now you'll see a lot of these I went over very heavy to get like in here and whatnot, so that's why I'm now, one of the other reasons I'm now going to go ahead and apply the gray Seers, just to tidy it up before I apply our Militarum gray. Okay, so we're ready now to go ahead and apply our Basilicanum gray. It's green. So this is again a little on the strong side due to age. So we're just gonna take a couple drops of it, and then we're gonna add in some of our medium, kind of thinner back down. Let's see, contrast dries out just like any other paint, especially with GW bottles. Okay, so we're going to apply this very liberally over all of the armor plates and everything on Strong. We want it head to toe, and then we'll begin to apply weathering effects after. Okay, so looking good. We need to wait for that to dry, so while it does that, I'm going to go ahead and apply some color to this rocket launcher. So the central part of the body of the rocket is kind of a reddish tinge. So we're just going to apply that. And these are going to be pretty bright, but we don't have to worry too much about that, because as usual with our base, we're going to apply some heavy brown wash over it at the end, and that will darken it down nicely. Okay, so the nose cone and the band just under the central body are yellow. And then the rest of it will be in Militarum green. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the base while we wait for everything else to dry. Okay, so as usual for our dirt color, we're going to go with a nice towel light ochre, and I'm going to break out my slightly older brush as well, since this is just applying a base color. And yep, so I have applied water into this pot recently to make sure it's a bit thinner than it has been. So we're just going to paint all of this, and that should give us enough time for most of everything else to dry. base will need to dry before we can apply our Agrax Earthshade, but at least it's down and good to go. Now the yellow on the rock is kind of blending with the Towelite Ochre, but that won't be much of a problem once the shade is applied, because it will really kind of edge in that missile. Okay, now while that's going, most of our metallic pieces have had enough time to dry, so we're going to move on to dry brushing some rust. So I'm taking some Game Effects Oxidio Rust. It's a very bright color, and we're going to go ahead and dry brush that in. I'm going to use my smaller dry brush because we don't want this going everywhere. Providing I can find where it's hidden. Let this be a lesson to everyone. There we go, it was just at a bad angle. Always clean your workstation. As your parents told you, clean your room. Alright, so we're just taking a blob of that, and we're just working it into the bristles until it's almost gone. It's going to be a heavier dry brush than I usually do, even because, you know, this is, you know, recycled bits of metal and everything, so I want these rusty. So just start flicking it on there, and you see already you can really see it start to pick up. Now you don't have to apply it to every part. You know, some of them might be more difficult, the central piece, but since it is a rust color and most of these are surrounded by brown, you really won't notice if you go over. You just have to watch around the flesh. You don't want it on your green flesh. Okay, and our feet here, and our 1 foot plate. Make sure I get the other side. Now, I especially want to use it to pick out this barbed wire, which is holding on this particular leg. Now, arms, have to be careful. Again, we don't want to be getting it onto the flesh. Also, some of this is still a little wet on this one arm. But that's fine, we'll just avoid that section. And then we're just going to apply this all over our hammer, especially on the head. Okay, so this is kind of the first step of our weathering. So now we've got this nice bright rust on it. We're going to come behind and we're going to add some dark rust wash. And I'm going to use my older brush because this wash is a little tacky at times, so I don't want it gumming up my good brush. And as we all know, all bad brushes once started as good brushes. So we're just going to kind of paint over it completely, and that will provide all the shading we need within. And down there. You don't have to do like the whole piece each time. You just kind of apply it where you think, almost like a dry brush. So we're just going to kind of flick it on. And that will apply, give us an even more of a rusty used effect here. Alright, so now for the cable on the super sledge, we're just going to hit that real quick with contrast black Templar, just to darken the line. Make it stand out from the metal. So this is the hose taking the fuel supply from the grip up to the top. Okay. And to finish everything up on the model itself, we're going to take a real quick dab of Gryph-Hound Orange and put it in the back of the sledge, just as a little fire source there. Okay. So you can see our plates. Just rub off some of this rust effect. Yeah, that's fine. So if we want to, we can go back over now and even apply a bit more gray if we've gone too heavy with the rust. And so I'm just gonna kind of bring this in on a couple spots just to give us a bit of difference. And you can go back and forth on everything, doing stuff like this however you like, until you get it just the way you want. Alrighty. I believe our base has... Nope. Okay, so we're going to let the base dry a bit, then we're going to go ahead and apply our Agrax Earthshade. Ring the base, seal it, and then we'll be ready to apply Tufts. There's a lot of wide open space on this, so I can get at least, I'd say, 3 Tufts on this, and it should look pretty good. Alright, so as we can see, we got our brown wash applied, so everything darkened in nicely on the base. That missile really looking good there. Also, I went ahead and applied some scratch marks. Let's see if we can... So you can kind of see on the plates here and there, I applied some little dings of brighter metal just to put that into perspective. Alright, so to finish off then, we're going to go ahead and apply our Tufts. I'm going to go ahead and use my Army Painter Highland Tufts again. And like I said, I think it would fit about 3 on here. Really break up that kind of flat surface. Okay, so just going to take our tweezers. I'm going to go for the big one since this is a big base. And just apply some white PVA glue to the tuft. And then I'm going to just attach this over here, I think. Let's go for a second large one. As I've said before, with the detail that comes on these bases, I think the tufts really are the only thing you need to make a fantastic looking base. Alright, and then let's go with one medium in the back. And as always, apply these after sealing, or else they'll clump together and turn kind of brittle. You want them nice and fluffy. Alright, so there we have Strong, ready to join your vault dweller in the wilderness, searching for the milk of human kindness. So, with the changeover to the US store here, I missed out on one of the waves, which is the Securitrons and Marcus. So I have those ordered from another place, and those will be in this week. So next week, we should have, probably going to go with Marcus. We're going to go with a browner skin tone on him. And then I do have the pre-orders in for the other New Vegas companion boxes. So once those are available here in the US, those will ship and we'll do those as well. But we've got Securitrons, Marcus, and the other Nightkin character companion coming. So we will have at least 3 weeks worth of content through those. And hopefully before then we'll see the rest of them. And we will see you later.